Torpedo Fire. This is a game of submarine warfare for an Apple II with a 48K and one disk drive. The game is on a self-booting disk and requires Apple Soft Basic and ROM. Although basically a game for 2 players, it can also be played solitaire. It might be more appropriate to call it a game of anti-submarine warfare, since a solitaire player commands the surface forces and tries to prevent the computer, as sub-commander, from sinking ships in the convoy. Torpedo Fire is a historical simulation, a war game you won't need fast reflexes to play. It is a battle of wits between the commander of a submarine and the commander of the escort force guarding a convoy. Like all SSI games, Torpedo Fire comes in a box with a rulebook and playing aids, reference cards, plastic-coated plotting sheets, and grease pencils. Of course, the rulebook is the most important. You have to read it to learn how to play. The reference cards are very useful. The plotting sheets can be a help but aren't needed to play. The game covers all of World War II, at least it does if you're willing to create your own scenarios. Specifications for subs and escorts from Germany, England, and the United States, and Japan are built into the game, but there is only one ready-to-play scenario. You can create additional scenarios and types of ships by using a program called the SSI Shipyards. Torpedo Fire is strictly a tactical game. Neither side is bothered with the possibility of running out of fuel, torpedoes, or depth charges. There's no tomorrow. Points are given only for damage done today. Obviously, this leads both sides to press the attack more than might be the case in real life, but it also tends to ensure that every game will have a definite conclusion. Where board games use a single map board, which gives both players an identical view of the battle, computer war games can show each player something quite different. In Torpedo Fire, the submarine commander gets a view through the periscope, while the escort commander sees a map, which is a composite of sonar, radar, and visual sightings. Although I'll mention some faults that keep this game from being perfect, I want to make it clear at the start that Torpedo Fire is an excellently conceived game. Fortunately, its faults do not keep it from being fun and exciting, nor do they keep it from being the best simulation of a confrontation between submarine and destroyer presently available. However, there is room for improvement. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to this part. Both players may watch the monitor while the computer prints a list of messages that describes the action. Collision check at time 0, and then it counts by 3. Torpedo away. I wonder if we can find this game on YouTube. Other SSI games have been criticized for the long time taken by the computer. In Torpedo Fire, this phase begins with the warning, this will take 1 to 5 minutes. This estimate is very accurate. I've timed it from 40 seconds for 3 ships to 7 minutes for 14 ships, with 8 torpedoes running and a dozen or so depth charges sinking. Usually it takes a minute to a minute and a half. Waiting doesn't seem tedious since there are messages appearing on the screen constantly. When it does take longer than 2 minutes, it's because an attack is underway, and this phase becomes the most exciting part of the game. After the computer has simulated 60 seconds of time, there's a brief search phase while the computer determines who can see what, and then it's time for orders again. There is a torpedo data computer to help you calculate an intercepting course for your torpedoes, but results depend entirely on your estimation of the enemy's course, range, and speed. I'll skip down here to this picture so you can see the excellent artwork, and rather than read any more details. Not sure what this has to do with Torpedo Fire, but perhaps it's the artist's avatar. They are a freelance illustrator, and they provide their address in California here, Carson, California. So if you're looking for artwork, reach out to Finkus here.